Hi, y'all. I'm just waiting for my guests to join and then we can get started. Hi. There he is.
Hey,
Hey Zach, how's it going?
good. How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Um, yeah, it's good to see you.
Too.
Um, yeah. So thank you all for tuning in. Welcome to another episode of Meeting and Reading. My name is Logan Esterling, and my guest this week is Zachary Boding. He plays associate principal oboe in the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. He has previously served as the assistant principal and second oboe for the San Antonio Symphony. He's performed with many great orchestras, including St. Paul Chamber Orchestra, the Teton Festival Orchestra, Los Angeles Philharmonic, and many more. So thank you for joining me. I'm excited to nerd out with you.
Yeah, same. Should be a good time.
Yeah. So I guess we could start with the type of cane you like and the gouge that you use.
So uh, my default is always Rigati cane. I just have been in like super reed slumpy land
Oh, I'm
recently.
sorry.
Oh, well, not your fault, but
Yeah.
not Rigati.
Yeah.
Uh, so, just made my way back, and so hopefully it's good. Um,
Nice.
and I studied with John Furlow, so I definitely use the Harvard double reed gougers.
Nice.
I have three of those, and then
Nice.
I use a Ross to pre-gouge sometimes, and then I also have a graph that I don't really use often.
Gotcha. Nice. I'm curious, like, what kind of reed slump you've been in? Like, what's been the main problem?
Oh, it's just like getting things to do what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
The weather in Atlanta is particularly tricky.
Okay.
We'll have really dry days and then we'll have really wet days, but
Gotcha.
dry days will be warm and the wet days will be cold and then vice versa. It's just like kind of
Yeah.
a never strange read land that Atlanta is. And
Yeah.
one of my colleagues, she always has Emily Breebach, she always has
Mhm.
terrible time in November. She's like, it's the worst month, you can't make
Oh wow.
anything. I'm like, for me, it's like the spring.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because like right now it's like spring weather. It's like, I know it's January still, but it feels, I think it was like 60 or 70 degrees. So,
Wow.
and it was like, in the 40s, like this past week. So
Wow.
weird. Just trying to get everything to be, like whenever you have a good read, it just feels like you can put it down. And
Oh yes. Yeah.
that definitely, so it's a little irritating.
Yeah. No, for sure. That makes sense. Yeah, my brother lives in Atlanta. Whenever I visit, I feel like I definitely have experienced that a little bit. That like coming from Seattle, my reads there don't want to vibrate or function like they normally do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is function of, so, I think that I definitely go for medium hard type cane. Anything like on the soft, like I'll do even medium soft sometimes, but if it's soft, it's really hard for me to make anything vibrate in the way that is nice, like where it has nice cushion and it doesn't just feel like it's kind of
Flimsy and
on itself.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
Nice. And I
yeah,
guess so. I normally bring in questions later, but that kind of leads me to one of our submitted questions, which is like, how do you prevent small openings or collapsing?
yeah, that's I think a largely a function of things that happen before you try the read on.
Yeah.
Um, Main selection, pretty much. I mean, I think I would say 75% of it's cane selection.
Yeah.
Uh, you're having small openings, which I really like small openings. I tend to use 10.75 diameter.
Nice.
on a normal basis. Just I like to feel like I'm fighting at all.
Yeah.
But if you're getting too small of openings, I'd highly recommend going to a narrow or a smaller diameter, so 10.25. I know some people use. I have a friend 75, which
Wow.
that would be like a baseball for me.
Yeah.
Baseball, just like full circle.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I can't make anything like that. But I think that largely like and then just making sure you're not putting anything into the machine that is too like if it's kind of like
Yeah.
you can get different sides, so that could affect stuff too. And honestly, just being up on the gouge and how well you can, like I think a lot of consistency comes from the gouge. Like if you have a gouge that's working properly, Harvard double reed gouge is notorious for being persnickety.
Yeah.
That's why I have 3 because
Yeah.
one's not working. I can go to another one and get the other one sent off, and I know I have 2 more. I know that's a luxury that not a lot of people can afford, so I'm aware of that. But I mean, like something like an Inalady, which is very consistent in terms of what kind of gouge it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you're putting bad cane through, you're not helping yourself out.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes total sense. Yeah. And I guess that begs another question that I had for you. What do you sort for? Or like, what are some of the most important things that you sort for?
Oh yeah. I am one of those people who I buy like a pound of cane and I throw most of it out.
Yeah.
I'm really, when I was in high school, I did used to do them they used to do them at Interlochen, but it was like the Duval Stroman stuff.
Mm.
So they taught me how to process cane, and I've like really not strayed too far away from how they teach things. I want to make sure that I'm getting the right diameter when I'm putting it through. It's really nice. It has a nice, even symmetrical curve to it. So I'm not putting like check shaped or anything like that when I'm looking at it in the radius gauge. Really wanting to make sure that it's not too smiley. For my gouge, that just doesn't work. I know for some people it does. If I put anything too smiley in my gouge, it ruins the measurements, and then things don't go well after that. And hopefully, if it's a frowny face or bowed or however you want to say, I think that's for me. It just doesn't. You don't get the right measurements. It's almost kind of like looking for a perfect piece of cane. I know, again, a lot of people can't, afford to do that. Like if you're a student, I say just make as many reads as possible. I think that that's the most important thing. I'm super picky now because I spent all that time doing, I did my freshman 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Ms. Stroman calls it, but it has all of the IU kids do like 1,000 reads freshman year or something. Maybe I'm like totally over speaking on that. I see Jessica Warren has joined, so she will to point in the right direction on that one. But I think that I definitely did make through my undergrad, I probably made 3,000 reads easy. I didn't care. I was just throwing stuff in the gouge, and I just wanted to see what would work for me, what wouldn't work for me. And I think that as you move on through your read journey, playing journey, really. Oh no, Jessica. 5 to 7 reads per week. Oh, hi, Mary. So 5 to 7 reads per week. I think that's about right. I think that's a good 5 to 7. I don't do that anymore, but I'm a little now. But also, it's like I think the more consistent you get in scraping and stuff, and having a gouge that functions properly and an oboe that functions properly and knives that function properly. I think, I know what I put in my machine will make a reed. And that's kind of my thing is like, I don't want, I'd much rather spend a lot of time sorting and preparing cane and getting something that I know is going to work in the machine. So whenever I put it onto the staple, it almost kind of makes itself, unless there's something wrong with the cane.
Yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, and then I guess another question, this keeps leading to our questions. How have you found consistency in, like, for example, your scrape? Like, how did you develop that skill?
So that was something that took me a while. It was one of those things that, scraping wise, I think having a sharp knife is, if you don't have a sharp knife, even now, I can tell in my reads whenever something is, like, I look at the profile especially, and if it doesn't look the way I want it to look, I know that I'm having issues with my
Yeah.
or if I'm having to like scrape in places that I know I wouldn't normally need to scrape in. It's either a function of the gouge is getting too old, so the reeds aren't able to sit up to pitch, and I need to get my gouger looked at, or my knives are not sharp enough, and I need to pay some attention to them.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And do you use the Ferrillo system?
I do. I am one of the, I think, few who does fully on beveled knives. I don't use a double hollow ground at all. I know there are a few people who use the double hollow grounds like right to finish the reed, and I just can't get that to work for me. So I'm very much the not gonna happen. I'm just gonna make it as easy on myself as possible, and I don't like double hollow grounds. So I'm just
Yeah, nice. It's easy, it's straightforward, it always works, so that's very nice about the Ferrillo system.
Yes, I totally agree. Other than that, it's like, I think that consistency also comes from, um, uh, sorry, I'm like totally reading through these comments.
Yeah, no.
I use a DMT, I think is what it is, from Ferrillo. So just, it's like one of the fine ones. I think it's like fourth, maybe not. I don't know what grade it is. I'll let you know.
Nice.
And my band director from high school is actually on too.
Oh, hi. That's so sweet.
You don't have a Zach Boding to make reads for you, or do you go to get them so you aren't buying back? Logan, that's where you go.
Yeah.
Logan has he's a really great reed maker, and I highly recommend it. I've never tried one because I don't buy reeds, but I always recommend a few people, and Logan is one of them. So,
oh, thank you. That's so sweet.
No problem. But I think also consistency comes from, and I'm also going to plug Jessica Warren on this one.
Yeah.
My read log, and I have found so much more consistency, and I started this in September.
Nice.
And I have, so what I do too is like, I'm super anal retentive about like everything, so I take like copious notes.
Yeah.
So since I have different gougers, like they're broken down by, this is one of my gouges, the blue's another one, and then I have one with red. So
nice.
All of my stuff is really broken down. And she has spots for, what staples you're using, what cane it is, what diameter, what gouge, and then you like shape it, and it's like what shape you use, the center measurement, the ear measurement, thread measurement, and then if you do a lot of like traveling, you can say where you tied it on.
Nice.
I also, in the margins, I have a lot of reed boxes too, because I just like to keep everything. So I actually have what reed box I have it in, and I go to the Tetons in the summer, so I actually have, if something's really flat, I will throw it in my altitude box.
Nice. Yeah.
But, a lot of people don't think about doing it. Like a lot of students that kind of get to, Aspen, or is it NRO that's up in the mountains, or NOI? I don't remember which one. But they're like, oh God, I think, if you can like stockpile reeds, if you know you're going to be going to altitude and you're making flat reeds, down down at sea level, just throw them in a box. Because if they don't work here, they'll
Yeah.
totally work somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I play in the Yakima Symphony, which is a little bit higher than Seattle, and it's on the desert side of Washington.
Okay.
And I make quote unquote Yakima reeds that are, basically what you're describing, flat and maybe a little bit more vibrant than I would normally want them to be. And up there, they work great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's really important, especially if you're like freelancing or playing around and you don't have like a set place that you play. Like I'm lucky enough to where like I'm mostly playing one place.
Mm.
I play the Woodruff Arts Center in Atlanta. That's pretty much my main gig with the symphony here, and so I know what kind of read I need to make for here. But if I get something and I'm like, okay, this is definitely not going to work,
Mm.
I will throw it in a box and just be like, I know this is going to work somewhere because the cane's good or the gouge is good. It just might have been, my scrape or something that it was not me, but or at least I'm going to pretend like it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes me think of something in our interview call that we did a few days ago. That you kind of have changed your remaking style as you've been in Atlanta, and especially to kind of match your hall, right?
Oh yeah,
So I'm curious if you could speak a little bit about that.
yeah. I'm one of those people who I really even still like after not. I mean, I'm kind of like in audition mode all the time,
Hmm.
but even for my job, I think that it's important to have kind of an everything read. Um, feeling like I can be able to do. I mean, I don't have to play particularly low in my
Hmm.
job, so I can kind of continue making reads the way that I want to. But even when I was
Yeah.
playing second, I was making everything reads all the time, and I was using the old good like in San Antonio. I was in San Antonio before this, and so the way that I would do it was I would play a read on principal one week, and then the next week, if it was kind of like starting to break down, but you could tell it was going to be a really good second oboe read, I would use that as my second oboe read.
Nice.
So it's like I think reads have lives, but
Yeah.
the thing about the hall that it's not double read. So the bassoon players also have issues with our hall. And they've had to, adapt. I think there's a big learning curve for the double reed players who are playing center, and just that the hall is definitely more on the bright side. So, I've also seen like a huge change in like how I need, like what kind of equipment I use in an actual oboe. So I've had to kind of futz around with that to figure out like I know I need a really dark setup.
Yeah.
In the Tobin Center in San Antonio, which is a beautiful, beautiful space. I I miss that hall. It was so forgiving.
Yeah.
You literally put in the oboe, and it would just sound this like glorious.
Oh, that's lovely.
Um. So, but here, because of the restraints of the hall, everything has to be kind of in this really small pocket.
Hmm.
Another reason why I think consistency is key, and I think that there are ways to build consistency into what you're doing
Yeah.
that are really easy. Like the read log will
Hmm.
help. So if okay, I'm going to for this amount of time, I'm gonna do 10 to 10.5 cane only and see how that's working for me. I'm only gonna do that, and then
Yeah.
if that variable doesn't, if you're finding that things are too open for you or not open enough, like you can kind of gauge what is working and if it's not, why it's not.
Yeah.
Consistency for read players, basically, I mean, because everyone's looking for something so different,
Yeah.
you have to be as methodical as possible in terms of what kind of, sorry, my dog is you can
That's
probably
okay.
drinking water.
Yeah.
I think just being as like anal retentive as possible,
Mhm.
with how you are logging things.
Nice.
That I think that's something that's really helped me, especially within the past 6 months.
Mm.
I was kind of getting tired of having that constant. Oh gosh, what were the measurements on this read again? I don't remember. I know especially when you start doing gouger work,
Yeah.
so my like thing even from this past week. I have moved the gouger blade to the move the gouger blade to the left, and I was like, you have to do it. Your reads are flat.
Nice. Yeah.
And I have it kind of marked like when I move stuff. So I mean, I think if you can just like get as consistent as possible, and I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to take notes. Oh, I don't want to write this down. But I think that is one of the best ways that you can become more consistent, because it's basically helping yourself in any way that you can. Like if you have to like 5 extra seconds to write down the thread measurement, like who cares? At least you'll know it is. And honestly, if I see a thread that's like 51, I'm like, okay, I'm probably not going to use this piece of
Yeah.
cane. So I think that there's a lot going on, that you can really help yourself in being more consistent. And I just think a lot of people don't do that. I think something a really methodical approach. I know like Linda Strom, and she's so methodical with the way that she teaches, so methodical with the way that she makes reads. I think, for me, I don't think I could be that methodical. Just because to me, it's like I don't function that like blinder.
Yeah.
But as I've gone from the opposite end of that, where I didn't write anything down and now I'm doing it, I
Mm-hmm.
understand why she does it. And I think that doing something like that is so smart. And if you want to get consistent, especially with, reads or even playing, I mean, I used to do a lot of practice logs.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that like doing stuff like I don't do the practice logs anymore. I do more read stuff because I mean, I'm not really like doing audition stuff right now. It's mostly just work stuff. I know what I need to practice, so I do.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I wasn't doing auditions right now, I would be making lists and doing things like that. So I think that you can help yourself. It's just a matter of actually doing it. I think people get lazy.
Yeah.
I'm totally one of those people who
Yeah.
I get lazy and I'm like, oh, this is slipping in my playing or my remaking. I should probably start doing this again.
Yeah. Yeah. I relate. Yeah. But speaking about keeping practice logs, I have my orchestral rep binders, and
Mm.
basically on before each excerpt or after, I'll have like a page that's just a blank, white sheet of paper, and I write notes, things that I practice, ideas about the piece, how much I practiced, and it's really great to look back and see, oh, I did this, practice, I practiced in this way, this, rhythm, and it seemed to really help, my evenness in this one passage or
Yeah.
something.
And I am very much a person, like when I'm doing auditions, I play off full parts. I have all my own full parts that I've IMSLP'd and
Nice.
taken together.
Yeah.
But I really do think that like having the knowledge of like what is going on around you is super helpful, and that's why I like playing off the full parts. But also, just it gives you a little bit more room to write notes. Like I do sticky notes. I do 3 sticky notes. Was passed on to me from a flute player who did that. She had 3 sticky notes. One was like she had a big sticky note, and it was like what she practiced, and 2 small sticky notes. One was kind of like 3 go-to words right before you played the excerpt, and then maybe it was just 2. Yeah, I don't. It was just 2. A big post-it and a small post-it.
Nice.
Things to get like the small post-it was to like get you in kind of the mental space to play it. So if it's like Mendelssohn 3, I have like plaid, like green plaid, and
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute. I love that.
Pardon, and like jig and stuff like that. I mean, even though it's
Yeah.
not but like
Yeah. Yeah.
people dance, and it's joyful stuff like that. Kind of
Yeah.
get your self to play the excerpt.
Yeah. That's great advice. Yeah. I'll have to incorporate that into my binder.
Fun, you should totally do it.
Yeah.
Um, I also do I do kind of read by day,
Okay.
which also helps a lot. I'll keep it pretty heavy the first day, and
Mhm.
the second day I'll kind of more finish. So I haven't even put the back read yet. It's not. I don't think it's anything. Um, I've barely done anything to it. What I try and do on the first day is make sure that I do kind of a longer scrape. I'm not sure. I've scraped down to here.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, so what I do is I'll try and make sure that the tip and the back behind the tip, the heart or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
I just big long scrapes. I'll try and make sure that those are as balanced as possible before I even put in a back.
Nice. Yeah.
Um, that if I put a back in too soon, I use a Mac Double Plus shaped up to the ears. So I shape it like I'll have the cane come up to this part,
Nice. Yeah.
extra room, and then I tie it on at 73.
Okay.
Some people tie on at like 72 and a half, and that works for them. But I'm really wanting to get something that's as up to pitch as possible.
Nice.
But the big thing for me, like if I feel like I have to force anything, I don't. It just doesn't work well enough for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so do you start with the long scrapes or do you start with like putting in some of the tip and then move back?
Yeah, I have to start. So this is another thing that I learned about myself when I was making reads. Is like I tried the tip first thing,
Hmm.
and I would always get it too thin, and then I'd try and incorporate the backs in, and then I'd get catches in the tip, and it would start like chirping.
Yeah.
And I don't have chirps that often. I'm like, knock wood.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that I don't have chirps that often. So I know whenever I get chirps now that it's like a knife technique problem. It's not, you know, it's not anything else but that. It's just like you screwed up somewhere in the tip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so for me, that has really helped. But I know that uh, I know some people do start from from the tip.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think it just depends on what kind of how you want to make the read.
Yeah.
I'm a person who makes it from sharp to flat. I
Okay.
prefer to make yeah. I can't do the really rattly and then clip it up to pitch thing because things just get too flat for me, and then I feel like I have zero control.
Yeah.
Um, so I really go for the tight tight together on the
Hmm.
first day. Something that probably won't sound that beautiful.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight and resistant, but I think that it might actually turn into something. So at this point, I would put a little bit of back in just to calm it down a little bit.
Nice.
Mm.
And has this process, you said this process has kind of changed over time. When did you start doing this kind of this more like long scrape, then the tip, then the heart, then the back.
Yeah, so I started that really maybe 5 years ago.
Okay.
Doing um, so, I mean, I was kind of like I would do maybe not as long scrape, but I'd do a little bit on the tip and then try and bring it down, and then, but once I started just doing like five long scrapes, so I mean, all I do is like five long scrapes. It's really just to get the bark off.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, because for me it's all about smooth. I don't have a lot of catches in my reads. Everything
Okay.
is very smooth. Um, I've been told that I am very old school because I still use sandpaper a
Mm,
lot, and I actually take if something's not smooth, I'll take a razor blade and I'll get rid of the catch. Um,
nice.
I think it's pretty old school.
Yeah.
I don't really know anyone who does it now, but I mean, I definitely prefer to have a read that doesn't have a lot of catches in it because it inhibits the vibrations.
Mhm.
And for some people, they need that. They need it to not be as vibrant. But because I make my reeds from sharp to flat, I can afford to not have those catch.
Yeah, nice.
So I do a little bit more, I think, and then I'm gonna put it away.
Nice. And I'm curious, like, how you use the sandpaper, because I've recently been using it a little bit more, like especially towards the finishing process. But yeah, I'm just curious how you use it.
Yeah, so I don't know what grade this is. It's a fine piece of sandpaper, 1500.
Okay, nice.
I use I think 400 on like just I try and not have my reeds flare. So
Mhm.
I'll do that before like I even start scraping. Is I'll just kind of get rid of the flare since the max shape does a little bit. Just get rid of the flare and then start scraping. So I'll do the same thing once I've started to make the reed. I'll do this. I'll just do the sides, just getting whatever gunk off I can.
Mhm.
I just did it once. I just went and then turned it around and go kink again.
Nice.
And then what I'll do also is I'll do it on the very tip of the tip, which is really strange. But basically, what you do is I mean, if it was flat, I would just hold it down and then bring the reed up maybe 45 degrees, and then just slide it down like that. And it just gets a little bit extra off the very tip of the tip. For me, anyways, it just kind of smooths everything out again. I think
Nice.
a big thing that I've noticed in my reed making is that if I don't clip the tip, like if I do like in these beginning stages a lot of tip, like trying to balance between the tip and the heart, and then I'm not really clipping. What happens is there's always some sort of a catch right at the very tip of the tip, and
Mm.
that and so when I clip it, it becomes crazy because the vibrations have been stopped by that kind of ledge in the tip.
Gotcha.
Um, so whenever I am doing this now, I'll clip a lot more in the beginning stages just to kind of see what's actually going on. And I think that for me, it's really helped because whenever my reeds are too vibrant, they're too flat, and then I feel like I can't do anything.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, I want to feel with a reed just that like I want to feel uninhibited.
Mhm.
I think we all want to feel uninhibited.
Yes, please, please.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so important to I mean our instrument's so finicky,
Mm.
um, and you don't feel good all the time whenever you play. So if you can get get to a point where it feels together and you don't have to fight it, like even if it's a little hard, I'll totally play on it. Like
Nice.
I'm one of the people who's like, I'll play on a hard read and I will not be sorry about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, if you sound good and you can get it to do what you want, then that's all that matters. Yeah.
It's a little too hard for me, but on something like a first read, I'm not looking for, I used to be one of the, I want this to play how I want it to play right now, first
Mhm.
day people. And sometimes, sometimes I'll do it if it feels like, if the read feels like this is going to go somewhere, it's going really fast, it's a good piece of cane, the gouge was great on it, I'll do it. But recently, because of the hall and the weather in Atlanta, I've been leaving a lot more on the first day than just because I want to make sure that I'm getting the most bang for my buck. And I'd
Yeah.
much rather scrape rather scrape on something over the course of a few days and have it be what I want than to do too much too soon and then have to try and figure out what I want it to sound.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So speaking of instruments, I know you said that you kind of have adjusted your instrument for your hall. I'm curious, like what you used to play on and what you play on now.
Yeah, I mean, I had like an instrument journey.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
On my first, so I've always played on like an AK. And I played on
Okay.
an AK until right before I won my first job in San Antonio, and I bought a 125, a Royale, spur of the moment, but it was a really great instrument, and I won my job in San Antonio on that. I
Nice.
got to San Antonio, and then the first rehearsal, I was like, I have to change oboes.
Yeah.
It's too low.
Gotcha. Yeah.
San Antonio's a 441 orchestra,
Mhm.
um, and so I was like, I just can't play on this.
Yeah.
Too low. Um, so I switched to a standard bore
Mm.
Lorraine,
Yeah.
not a standard bore.
Yeah.
Which I think, from what Seimer tells me, the only difference is in the bell, but it
Oh wow.
definitely
Okay.
feels like two different worlds.
Yeah.
Then I switched to an AK, and I found this really incredible. And that oboe was so good. I won my job in Atlanta on
Mhm.
it. It was a great instrument. But when I got here, it was too bright for the hall, so I
Sad.
sold that now. I played on another darker AK, um, but it cracked, and I didn't like it much after it cracked. So I
Mm.
got rid of that, and I play now on a B plus.
Okay.
Is like one of Mr. Furlow's B copies, but it has all the normal keys on it. So it still has like the resonance keys on it and a third octave.
Cool.
Not like full B, but the bore measurements very much align with it. It has the longer second bottom joint. It's 3 millimeters longer than a normal AK. And it has the I'm not sure if they're calling it tabby toe or Delancey bore measurements right through this part of the instrument. It's a little bit more opened up, so strangely it takes the pitch of the low register and brings it up, and then
Nice.
the D and the E down, which I've never had an E or a D that was less than 10 cents
Yeah.
sharp. So
Yeah.
having an E that play pretty close to in tune is been really awesome.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna do a little bit more.
Nice. Yeah. I'm doing that trial of the B series right now.
Oh yeah,
And I'm curious to try a B plus. That sounds interesting. Yeah.
yeah. I think they're really great instruments. Mine is blind also in the top joint, and I think that I will probably not do anything else ever again.
Nice.
Not for the fully synthetic top joint because I feel like it takes away a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But I think that I really do like the feel of kind of half wood, half plastic. It felt like it was pushing back at me at first, and then I got used to it, and I was like, oh, this feels pretty good.
Nice.
Sorry in advance. I don't know what this is going to do.
Oh, it's fine.
So I'm just going to leave it because it's feeling a little hefty, and it's definitely over soaked at this point. I tied it on about 40 minutes ago. But feeling kind of like what I want it to feel like, and it's not too scraped out of.
Nice.
Not sure how much you guys can see out of that, but we'll
Yeah, I
see.
can kind of see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
like I barely scrape out of the backs on the first day. I just think that you have to be really careful, or I have to be really careful about how much I scrape out of the backs on the first day, or else everything just kind of goes flat, and then it's no fun.
Yeah. No. Well, it sounds lovely. Do you like play test your day one reads always?
Yeah, I mean, some of the time, I mean, what I used to do at NEC when I was a student was I would make the read without putting the backs in at all.
Yeah.
I would just make it and I would do it exactly how I wanted to, like I wanted it to feel, all of that without putting the backs in. Um, and then I would just all by feel and how the intonation was. And I knew that if I put the backs in, to me, I think if you think back to, kind of the genesis of the American scrape read, it
Yeah.
comes from European scraped read. So to me, the best way to get more depth and more color is to bring that in the backs. So if you're getting everything kind of balanced up at the top half of the read, once you throw the backs in, I think for me that's something that just like the back shouldn't do anything but add color and depth. If you're using them as a function for pitch, I know some people, scrape at the very top of the back to bring the ease down. I do one scrape, like it's basically just one even scrape throughout the back and throughout the heart. I want it to be like this and then this.
Nice.
So I think that for me, that's something that, really helped also with consistency, was adding the backs way later and making sure that I was getting the read to function on its own between the tip and everything behind the tip. That, I mean, for me, that's it helped. I'm not sure if other people have done something, but I mean, I think that's what, Tabby Toe was going for. He wanted more depth. And, it makes a lot of sense because the hall in Philadelphia is so dry.
Mm.
The old hall in Philadelphia is it's really dry. And so I can understand why the traditional old school Philadelphia sound came about, in terms of like function of reed.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's super interesting.
yeah. I mean, it's just it makes me kind of feel like I understand. I'm not sure if I actually do. I'm not sure why he added backs, but
Yeah.
I feel like, if he was like revered as such a great reed maker, and all he did was add backs. So I mean, I would have loved to ask him when he added the backs when he was making the reed, because if he was doing it right at the very end, I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah.
yeah, so it's sitting up well enough for me. Holding together well, sitting up to pitch well enough. I don't know where I put my stuff. I normally do everything with a drone, which
Okay.
is something else that I've changed recently, and it's really helped me. I'm gonna go get it. Hold on a second.
Okay. Yeah. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments.
So just give it one last clip and then call it good.
Nice. And so for day two, what is your process for kind of reworking the read to a more finished state?
Yeah, I will get my day two. Okay.
All right.
Maybe a little too much on this one, but it was going really well.
Oh,
Oh, I should just keep going. For day two, what I like to do, oh no, this is 51. Oh well, I'll pretend it's 52. Sorry, hold on just a second. Um, for day 2, I just really focus on, making sure it's going to be where I want it to be again. I'll do a few scrapes. I think it's really important to warm up on day 2 reads, um, get kind of an understanding of what they're doing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I'll do like long tones and scales and stuff, especially if it's pretty on the easy side. On the easier side. Oh, I also don't use water. I'm one of the weird people.
Okay.
Water, I just use spit to soak my, which freaks a lot of people out. But I like read this thing about Ray Still, I don't know, a long time ago. I think I've been doing this like all through college, and people have always freaked out by this. But I read this thing about Ray Still whenever he would be going to rehearsal, he would never use water. He would just stick his reed in his mouth right before, like when he was like on his drive into work. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
I had like kept on spilling reed water all over my bags and stuff.
Sad. Yeah.
Like really irritating me because I'm klutzy, so it happens. But
that's awesome. Now I want to try that.
yeah, go for it. I mean, I also think that it gets the read a little bit more, like, because like it's only saliva. Some people are like, oh, it breaks down the read a little bit faster. I think it actually makes my reads last a little bit longer. I mean, I don't know. It's just maybe it's my scrape. I really don't honestly know. It feels normal to me to do it, so that's why I do it.
That's awesome.
So this is my day 2, and like I said, I did a little bit more to it yesterday because it was really coming together nicely, and I was like, I think I can go a little further than I normally would. So I have not played on this today. I made it yesterday. It has a really nice spine in it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it or not.
Oh yeah, that's pretty. Yeah.
Spine in it. I'm happy to send people pictures of this read if they want to see it.
That'd be great.
So let's see how it goes. So it's really together, but unfortunately it's not vibrating enough.
Oh, okay.
For me, it just feels kind of like a block of nothing. Blowing block of nothing.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll just like really lightly, well, hopefully I'll find enough. I'll just really like lightly go over each of the quadrants, and at the very, very tip of the tip, that's a really important thing for me. Is right at the very tip of the tip, making sure I'm getting everything off. So again, I don't have that kind of ledge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I did. I literally just scraped on each of the quadrants, and we already have way more vibration.
Yeah.
So, it sounds a little tinny to me. So I'm gonna clip it.
Yeah, I find that going off the very, very tip, like the last half a millimeter or something, just like can really add vibrancy and cushion the response in a way that's really pleasing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Again, I play on a Mac++, so since I'm doing it from sharp to flat, this kind of like more resistant crow is something that I do look for. If it's too vibrant and rattly for me in the Mac Plus and the Mac Plus Plus, everything just feels really, really flat, and I can't. It's unmanageable. And also, I haven't taken very much out of the backs on this, so I think that's what I'm going to do in a second. And do one more kind of overall, just really quick scrape through the entire reed. Really on that tip. And I think that this is really also important to mention, that it's really good to have a sharp knife doing this, because if you're like in the finishing, 20% left on my phone.
Oh, no.
You have, if you're in the finishing stages of a reed and you're starting to press because your knives just aren't sharp enough, you might as well just throw that reed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to clip it again, but I want to see where it is. Okay, so I'm gonna leave it, and I'm just gonna put back in a little bit more. But just gonna
Yeah, so
go.
I think that when I started my read business, had a tendency to start to push more because I
Yeah.
am trying to get them done so fast, and I want to get reads out the door. So I've had to like remind myself, like, gotta slow down, gotta sharpen my knife. Yeah, that helps a
Oh,
lot.
I think that it's imperative. Like, sharp knives can make or break a reed,
Mhm.
and if you don't have a sharp knife, well, to put it mildly, you're up shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah.
I can't get other than that. So sorry
No,
if I, buddy.
no, you're good. You're fine.
So you can hear that the crow came together a little bit more. It's not as rattly. All I did were 2 scrapes out of the back. I'm gonna do long scrapes now. I'm just going all the way through,
Starting from the like very back.
very back of the back, all the way up.
Nice.
Trying to integrate at this point. I want it to vibrate as one.
Mhm.
Feeling a little bit top heavy right now, so because I didn't integrate the backs well enough. I go for a really smooth everything. My transitions are really smooth, period. Like the transition between the tip and the heart, the transition between the back and the heart. I think that, again, like I really want it to be as smooth as possible, no catches.
Yeah.
There's 1 or 2 catches in here that I'll take out with a razor blade in a second. But when it starts getting that kind of noise, I
Mhm.
know for me it's not going to work. So I'm going to clip it.
And I think another important thing that you're touching on is you're moving very slowly, right? You're doing a little bit and then testing it, and just moving slowly. I think, especially when I was like first starting to make reads, I would almost remake the read, whenever I would pick it up again, right?
Yeah, I think that it's funny because like I feel like people think of, oh, I have to make a read. I have to make a really good read. I have to do it right now. They
Hmm.
sit like the best intention. All of a sudden, like the read is not what you want it to be because you've done too much too soon. And
Yeah.
I think that it's not a race. I think coming to the read desk as calm as possible is really the way to approach read making. If you're not in a good mood, I skip
Don't
it.
do it. Yeah.
Just practice, or well, make sure you're on a good read and practice. But
Yeah.
or just don't play that day. Maybe you need a
Yeah.
break.
Just take a break. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's feeling like way more together to me now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the paper again, and I'm going to do on the sides and on the very tip of the tip, on both sides of the tip. So both sides, so just 1, 1, 1, and 1. And so crows really nice together. Should have a little bit more ease. So it's nice and together. And I think that at this point I would leave it, because I think that this is going to actually be, this will be a performance read for sure.
Awesome.
Yay, I did it.
Yay, yeah.
I told Logan, I was like, the thing I'm most nervous for is I'm going to screw up this read.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to multitask and make reads and talk at the same time.
It is a lot of fun. I mean, I think tomorrow what I'll do is, I'll do kind of like the second and third day. Well, actually, just like the second day on is really the same stuff for me.
Okay.
I'll just try and get it down and get it down and get it down to where I really know that it will play in a way that is going to be easy for me.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that yeah, that's exciting. Yay.
Awesome. Yeah.
Got out of it.
Yeah.
I also switched canes, so this is Regati.
Oh, awesome.
That's why it feels better.
Yeah. Where do you get Regati from?
I get it from Regati.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's awesome.
I order from France. I do it by the kilo. It's much cheaper. Don't tell anybody because I don't like it whenever I can't order it.
Yeah. I won't. It's our secret.
But it does take a while to get here. So it took me about 3 weeks to get it.
Okay. Wow.
Probably take you a little longer since you're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But I do think, I mean, they come in, they sell it half kilos and full kilos. So, I mean, this is the bag, one of the bags I just got. I mean, it's
beautiful.
And yeah, I mean, I ordered a kilo of, I just wanted to see if it was going to be any good.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered a kilo of 10 to 10.5 and a kilo of 10.5 to 11. So
nice.
Just to make sure that I was getting my bases covered.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
When summer comes, like, I'll probably want something a little bit more like closed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've been experimenting a little bit with more like larger diameters, just to find that like nice healthy opening. I don't have to like control it too much.
Yeah, I think there is between, I how do I say this? I toe a fine line.
Mm.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but
okay, yeah.
It's pretty closed. It's like, to be honest, it's pretty closed.
That looks nice though. That's like,
yeah, I mean, for me, it's like great.
Yeah, right in that sweet spot. Yeah.
If I get anything really bigger than that, things kind of just don't feel right.
Yeah.
But I don't play. I mean, I know there are a lot of people who like to play on something that's super open. I know Ms. Duvaz is a fan of that, and I think it works really well for her because she sounds great. For me, I just can't. I feel like I'm like constantly fighting the reed if I do that, and that's the last thing I want to be doing, especially in orchestra. Whenever I'm trying to play down, if you're fighting, you're gonna go sharp.
Yeah.
Just like tendency. If you're fighting, you're gonna start biting, and then you're in no man's land.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I think it's safe to point out that Delancey played on really, really, really closed reeds, and had a big sound still. So I think that this whole notion of not having a big sound and playing on reeds with not very much opening, I don't think because I have a pretty big sound too. And I play on small reeds. I think it's about the way that you use the reed and the way that you are thinking about the way your air is going into the read,
Yeah.
and resonance. Resonance is really important for what we do. So it's a journey I've been on for a while. Over the COVID, it's been like
Yeah.
all like just like where do I want to put things?
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, it's been a great time for that, to at least experiment with reads.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's been, but at the same time, I'm over COVID,
Oh
and
Lord, yeah.
I
Yeah.
just want to go back to normal. Not, I mean, we're really lucky in Atlanta. Like I'm still playing every weekend orchestra, which
I'm
is
jealous. Yeah.
um, I know some of my colleagues are not playing, unfortunately, just because of the repertoire. So like the low brass, I see Jeremy Buckler's on right now. The low brass is not playing very much, unfortunately, and the clarinets are kind of not doing too much either, just based on some of the repertoire decisions that have been made, which is not fun for anybody because we all just
Yeah.
want to play.
Yeah, definitely.
But I really hope that we can get back to some sort of new normal soon because it would. I mean, I think that morale in our profession would go up
For
tenfold.
sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I want that so bad.
I
Yeah,
hope it happens sooner rather than later.
me too. Me too. Well, we're about out of time. Thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed this discussion. I learned a lot, so I'm sure people watching did too.
I hope
Um,
it
yeah.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Zach, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.
Bye, y'all.